Hi, everyone. My name's Elissa Odell, and I am so honored you're here with me today to explore how to reduce burnout while building your business. I have become an expert in this outside of building a company. So I've been a tech entrepreneur for 9 years. I started my career in social justice. And let me tell you, the motto was, if you can sleep when you die. And I started my career working 13 hours a day. So when I entered startups, it was just innate in me to run full force working nonstop. So today we're going to be exploring together, saving you time, energy, and money to building a business where you're grounded in your vision. So let me give you some context about who on earth I am and why I'm talking to you about this. I have been burned out at least 4 times. Like I told you, I started my career with the motto, you can sleep when you die. It's a terrible way to start out. And I have been on a 3 to 4 year journey of understanding how I can stay grounded in the roller coaster of startups. Because when I was in the ultimate burnout state, which you can see right here in this photo, of course, I had to put a photo of myself on here so you could see the state that it had me in. I was depressed. I was anxious. I didn't have energy to have fun. I didn't want to make friends. I just lived and breathed my business. But guess what? I made bad business decisions. I was not fully showing up to why I started a company. So like I said, my goal is to save you that energy. So you're in the right place. If you're dealing with racing thoughts, you're struggling to turn your mind off at night, you have no life outside of work, you lack motivation, irritability, you have low self-esteem. If any of those relate to you or you've been there before, you are in the right place. So over the next 20 minutes, we're going to be exploring together how to unlearn hustle culture. I promise you it's possible. Understand the mental and physical impacts of burnout and develop personal burnout strategy. I am all about not a one size fits all model in this experience. We're going to figure out what works out for you. And like I kind of hinted already, I'm going to save you some money. So the American Institute of Stress stated that job stress is estimated to cost the US market $300 billion in losses and absentees, productivity, and accidents. I know as a founder, you do not want to have to be part of that number. That is painful. And I have been there before. I have made decisions that has impacted the growth of my business, but I have survived. So let's talk about the big elephant in the room. What is burnout? So over this workshop, this is a space for you to do some self-reflection and to figure out how you're not going to be part of this number that I have above me. So in the chat, I would love, as we explore some questions together, you drop your answers. Also, if you have your phone, your computer, a piece of paper to write down answers as well, because part of having a burnout strategy and figuring this stuff out comes with some self-reflection. So first and foremost, I want to hear what your definition is of burnout. So write that in the chat if you feel comfortable. I would love to read some answers. And I'm going to put 25 seconds on the clock to write those down. Okay. So that is 25 seconds. So my definition of burnout before I actually learned what it was, I thought it was, oh, I just need to go on vacation for a week. I need to sleep 8 hours. That is not burnout, ladies and gentlemen. The World Health Organization defines burnout as a chronic syndrome that leaves you feeling energy depletion and exhaustion, excuse my alarm, increased mental distance from work, you're feeling negative, you have an inner critic, and a reduced professional efficiency. Everything I just described drastically impacts how you show up for your startup. And for me, my definition of burnout is when what excited you to start your business is no longer motivating you. That it's hard for you to make decisions and your memory is vague. For me, I lost who I was. I forgot who I was. And that's what burnout means for me. So today, this is not just about learning about burnout. I want to introduce you to this thing called the Avoidance Burnout Framework. One of my engineer friends said to me, Elissa, I need a framework. I need structure to understand how to handle burnout. So I want to walk you through 4 steps today. We're going to go through education. So we're going to understand the impacts that burnout has on our physical and mental mind. We're going to grow some self-awareness and understanding how burnout impacts us personally. We're going to come up with a game plan because what works for me with burnout is not going to work for you. We got to figure out what works for you. And then we got to take action. I know you guys are entrepreneurs. You go all in, and I'm not going to let you leave this experience without marking on your calendars what you're going to add to your life. So let's jump in to my favorite part of learning about burnout. So there is a Yale professor from the Yale Medical School named Amy Arnstein who studied the neuromechanisms that impact burnout. And she has shown that burnout impacts the brain in 2 different ways. And this is very jarring when I learned about this. So first, it weakens the prefrontal cortex. Let me tell you what the prefrontal cortex is. It's the gray matter in your brain that helps you make really strategic decisions. It helps you to think practically. It helps you to sense your environment, your role in your environment, and sense other people. I literally just described what makes founders good at our job. So when you're burnt out, our superpowers are already gone. So Amy Arnstein says when this part of your brain starts to weaken, your attention span is limited, it's hard to retain memories, and it's difficult to learn new things. Literally, I lived and breathed this for 5 years. My co-founder would get so frustrated with me because I could not remember a conversation we had in a task. And honestly, I felt stupid. I just thought, oh, I'm bad at my job. AKA, you saw that's part of burnout. And so it was such a relief to me to find out, hey, this is a natural part of burnout impacting your brain. It also enlarges the amygdala. So the amygdala is part of the brain where we have fight or flight. This is not a bad part of your brain. We need fight or flight if something bad is happening, if a bear is chasing us, you know this. But this part of the brain does not serve us as entrepreneurs because give you a scenario. I know you know this. You wake up, you check your email, you see maybe your product had an error or a client's mad, then you get an email from an investor and it just all happens. So you have cortisol running through your veins and you never have a moment to release that stress. Animals, when they're about to be attacked and they survive, they shake off the stress. As humans, we don't do that. So constantly this cortisol is building up in our bodies. And Amy Arnstein says as fear builds up, we start to not feel safe in our environments. And when I first read this, I was like, okay, whatever. And then I was like, oh, that has been me. I remember being on Sand Hill Road, going to investor. And it started to feel like if I got a no, my world was going to end. Guess what? It is years later. I'm in front of you. I got no's. I am okay. But I did not believe anybody when they told me, oh yeah, you're going to be fine. It's just part of the journey. Because by this time I had so much anxiety and fear. So what's even crazier, in 2019, the World Health Organization deemed burnout as an occupational syndrome. This makes me feel like we are in a Black Mirror episode. This is an epidemic. And as founders, we have a responsibility to build work cultures where this is not a problem. This is, in my opinion, this is culturally acceptable in the United States. So now that you're educated briefly about how stress impacts, as I've said, our superpowers as entrepreneurs, as founders, as creatives, as engineers. So now let's reflect on burnout and what it looks like in your life. And I really challenge you to be honest with yourself. I avoided these hard questions that seem very simple, but because of being honest with myself, I am proud to sit here in front of you and say, I don't feel like a bear's chasing after me anymore. So on that note, remember, if you have anything come to mind, write it in the chat, or you write it in your journal, on your phone, your computer, whatever you feel like doing. So I'm going to mark 25 seconds on the clock, and I want you to write down, what does burnout look like for you? So burnout, I've had 25 seconds. I want you to know you will have access to this, I almost said PDF, this PowerPoint if you want to reflect on these questions more. But for me, burnout looked like not wanting to get out of bed, waiting for work to end so I could lay in bed and have a glass of wine and order takeout and watch Netflix. I did not feel like making friends. Someone else said, let's see. Yeah, I mean, everyone, I can guarantee you, even if you're just a few years in your career, burnout is part of the culture we live in, right? So burnout for me was losing everything I was. It was my health depleting, not having energy, getting sick all the time. So my next question for you is, how has burnout impacted your personal life? 25 seconds on the clock. Okay. So if anyone feels comfortable sharing what it looks like to impact their personal life, I would love to see. Since, I'm an open book in here, as I mentioned, I didn't want to make friends. Going on vacation felt like a hassle. Taking a break felt like a hassle. Owen said to the last question, burnout looks like just not caring anymore. And this can impact every part of your life. So I'm going to keep going because we got more questions. Next, I want you to reflect on, which as entrepreneurs, this is the hard one. How has burnout impacted your professional life? All right, 25 seconds up. This question was a hard one for me because I had to be honest. Because of the way I was treating myself, I was deeply impacting my business, and the way I was showing up and making business decisions. And that was really hard for me to be honest that I was the problem. And I always like to tell people my business, Huxly, is the biggest mirror in my life to show me what I need to change. So we got 2 more questions. Want to keep going. Next, I want to please describe the last time you felt in flow. So, when you have that good day, you're like, oh, I feel so smart. I'm just when you're so grounded in the work that you're doing. I want you to write down, how was your sleep? How were you feeling? What information were you consuming? I want you to think about this positive memory. Okay. The reason I have you ask yourself this question is because I have a very distinctive memory when I was in high school. I know I am not in high school. And so it's this memory where I felt so confident and grounded in myself. And then also a memory when I worked in social justice. And those are times that I look back and think, how can I foster that environment, which we will get into in a second. So last but not least, I'm not going to put 25 seconds on the clock. I just want you to briefly think about this. I want you to look at your answers. And I just want you to think, I just want you to process, how are you feeling? Are you feeling good? You're like, hey, I'm not in that space. I'm feeling grounded. Are you feeling discouraged? What's coming up? I really challenge you to be honest with yourself. So I'm just going to give you a few seconds to do that. So as you know, now we understand how burnout impacts our minds and our bodies. We know that it impacts financially our business. You now understand what burnout looks like in your life and what burnout is. Now let's add some hope in there. Let's talk about what are the next steps. And none of this is going to come off surprising to you. It's building in opportunities of recovery. So, I mean, the best analogy I can give you is when we work out, we need to sleep, we need to eat protein, and we need to stretch. And the same thing goes for running our business and taking care of our minds. Some beautiful ways to talk about building in recovery is micro and macro breaks. So that's taking a break between projects or between, hours of work. That's having an hour a week to yourself. If that's taking a day off every other month, these are really important. And I know firsthand when your to-do list is building up and you have a product launch or you're in that product market fit time, it feels like any break is a waste of time. But I just want to remind you, it's not. You're actually saving yourself time. You're saving yourself pain. And I actually have real health problems because of not doing this. And I'm not saying this from a place of pull out my violin. I'm saying this from a place that this has real repercussions on our life. Another way to build in recovery, which none of this is shocking, is quality sleep, time in nature away from your phone, and actually choosing to have fun. Like, what are you enjoying? I think as people that are overly ambitious, everything we do, even in our personal lives, has a reason. Like for me, I'm writing a play right now. And I always have to be so intentional to have fun while doing it, not making it some new business that I'm trying to launch. So on that note, part of the avoidance burnout framework is coming up with a game plan that works for you. Today, especially in the world of entrepreneurship and productivity, there's always this 10-step method, right? Of like, do this, do this, do that. I am so against that. I am about using your own self as an experiment and understanding what works for you. So I want to let you into a little bit of my world. This is something that's taken me 3 to 4 years to learn and to reflect on. Hopefully it inspires you. And then we're going to do some processing for you coming up with a game plan. So some of my game plan is my investors told me to do this. They were like, Elissa, schedule a work sprint. Because they were like, you're only sprinting. And it is very, very clear. So I'm actually currently in a work sprint, ironically. And what a work sprint looks like for me, I designate a week or 2 weeks that I'm going all in with work. And sometimes I'm working late hours, maybe working on the weekends, but I'm not doing it all the time. But I make it a priority to sleep 8 hours and to eat meals and to talk to friends. But right now for me, that is my main focus. My co-founder and I meditate before meetings together to be grounded. When I feel fight or flight approaching, so that amygdala, I do jumping jacks and breath work, because recently I got an email that I thought I was about to be told you took too long to answer. Had nothing in that. And I found my nervous system freaking out. And I was like, Elissa, breathe, breathe. I'm really wanting to do a post-work ritual where work is over with. For me, I really try hard to not talk about work after 7. I don't take meetings on Mondays, external meetings, because on Sundays, I don't want to feel this, oh God, I have to pitch this person, or I have to work on this problem. For me, I want to still have Sundays. I don't take meetings before noon. I deleted Gmail off my phone. I still check it on Chrome, but it's not something I'm getting notified with. I unfollowed so many people on LinkedIn because I was sick of seeing people's highlight reels. I watch music videos before work, did that before this. I love watching music videos. It gets me motivated, makes me feel creative. This is going to sound hysterical, and I know you get this. Leaving the house at least once, right? Especially if you work from home, when you're in a work sprint or you're working all the time, it's really hard to justify walking out the door. And then last but not least, my favorite is therapy. Like that, I've been in therapy for a long time and it's been amazing. I share all of this. This did not just like happen to me overnight. It's a muscle I have had to practice over and over again. So on that note, I want us to do some reflecting on what works for you. So get ready. Let me pull up my phone again. I want you to think about what has helped you stay grounded. And this can be in any area of your life. Is that walking outside? Is that going for a run? Is that talking to your best friend? What helps you stay grounded as yourself? All right, time is up. If anyone feels like writing their answers, that would be great. For me, staying grounded, this is going to sound so basic. having a social life. It really, I thought I was an introvert. I was like, oh yeah, I don't care about people. Nope, I was just depressed and burned out. So that was really important to me, making friends a priority again. I'm going to keep going because I don't see anything in the chat, but I'm excited to read everyone's responses shortly. So 25 seconds again is going on the clock. And I want you to think about, in the past, what has helped you feel energized with work? What has helped you feel so excited? Like, I'm sure going to conferences like this help you feel motivated and understanding new technologies, new ways to approach productivity. What helps you stay energized with work? Okay. So now you got those answers. So now, you've seen some ideas about recovery. I shared a little bit of my game plan with you. You've thought about what helps you be in flow. You've thought about what energizes you with work, what helps you stay grounded. I want to know, or I want you to know, what helps you, or what helps you? What are you interested in trying with burnout and recovery? What do you want to try? Please do not write down 100 things. Let's be practical. So I'm going to give you 20 seconds to think this through. Okay. So in the chat, I see some awesome answers. And, as you saw on my list, coming up with a burnout strategy sounds simple, right? But it's the implementation that's interesting. So, we have here simply working with other people, something. I'm about to join a co-working space because I need that. Let's see, most helpful thing for me is work only with startups where you can see alignment in values. KJ, I am the same way, surrounding myself with people who understand the choices that I'm making. He also says meditation, connection with friends, going out every day. I know this sounds so obvious, right? But when you're so caught up in growth and generating revenue and being responsible for other people's paychecks, it's easy to forget these things. So on that note, like I said, I'm not going to let you leave here without having a game plan. So I want you to write down, what do you want to try today that you have not done? What do you want to try today? Is that meditating? Is that like deleting Gmail off your phone? Is that changing how you schedule things? So write out what you want to try today, what you want to try next week, and what you want to try next month. And ideally, I would like you to pick 1 to 2 things, one ideally, because these are experiments. You have enough on your plate. Let's do baby steps in figuring this out. So write those down. I'm going to give you 10 to 15 seconds. Okay, so like I said, this will be here for you to go back to. But this is what I need you to promise me. That you write this on your Google Calendar, or you put this in, if you have a physical calendar, if you're one of those old school people, put this in here. This is not about doing it perfectly. This is about investing in the longevity of your career and your productivity and your employees and your team. So on that note, my goal is that you reflecting on burnout, and my goal is that you understanding burnout and how it manifests in your life and what you can do to take action is going to take you going from being baby Yoda falling asleep on a rock to Yoda chilling out with a rock floating. Yoda is an inspiration to me, which is hysterical to say to all of you, but seriously, I love Star Wars if you can't tell. So on that note, I want to congratulate all of you for spending 20 minutes exploring this topic. I know we're at a tech conference learning new innovative ways to build software. But this is as important, as I said, as finding that product market fit, getting that funding, because it's not possible unless you actually take care of yourself, and you're not. We are not part of the problem. We need more mindful, conscious founders growing companies. So again, my name is Elissa Odell. I'm excited to have 5 minutes of Q&A. or have some dialogue. Oh, I am over time. Okay, great. Well, again, I wanted really fast to share my email and my Instagram handle. If anyone here, you want someone to talk to about this, showing up for founders and being friends with founders is one of my favorite parts of my job. I don't work with founders, I'm in marketing. But if you ever need someone to talk to, I have been there. And my email box is open, my Instagram, you can follow me. I'm posting about burnout, posting about my cat, and I just moved to Mexico. So thank you all again for your time. And I'm very honored to have spent this time with you. And I hope some of you email me, because I would love to hear more about your experience and your stories, because as I mentioned, this is such an important topic. So thank you.